The Council of Aging, Southern California art class, Painting with Acrylics with Kim Brandon Watson. Artistic expression is a powerful way to cultivate creativity and tell our personal story. Creating art enables us to share our culture and our identity. During these unexpected times, when we are all staying home, trying to be healthy and safe, the Council of Aging Southern California is here to provide a comfortable outlet for you to express yourself creatively in the form of art. We believe that art has a significant therapeutic value. It can help us cope with the isolation and social distancing that we are all currently experiencing, as well as help us reduce the stress and anxiety associated with this temporary isolation. Furthermore, this creative process can help us stay busy and motivated throughout the day. Okay, so we're going to paint a still life today, and that's going to teach us about light and value. So let's get started. Hi everybody, thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to do still life, and it's going to teach us about light and values. And we're going to use the same mixing techniques that we used in the first one. So I hope you guys are all ready for this. It'll be fun. So first of all, I have taken some fruit and vegetables out of my refrigerator, and you can do this too. Obviously, they've seen better days, but for this purpose, they'll work great. So what I'm doing is I'm putting them out for me to be able to paint. I'm going to paint directly from the still life, not from a photograph, though you can also paint from a photograph, so feel free to do that. I am going to use watercolor paper, which you should have. I'm just trying to get you guys to do some techniques and different exercises, so when we do paint something on the canvas, you'll have had some experience with the paint and so forth. So, and again, I encourage you to go into the chat box and text questions or remarks or anything that you'd like during our session here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move the camera around so you can get a better view. Basically, I want to do something fairly simple just to kind of give you the idea of shading and different shadows and lighting, and how to mix your colors like we did last time and actually apply it to a subject. So with that said, the first thing we're going to do is look at the lighting. So right now we've got lighting that's coming from above, and it's hitting about here. If we move it over here, you can see how the shadows start to change. So I want you to look at all the different ways that this, when I move my lighting around the subject, how it changes. So you can kind of see in real time the type of highlights you have versus the shadows. I think I'm going to use that. It gives it a little bit backlit, so the lighting is coming from above, but it's kind of behind the object. So I'm getting the shadows coming this way, which is opposite of the lighting, and I'm getting some backlit. So I'm going to do that, and I've just kind of sketched in really quickly what I see with a light color. You can also do it with a darker shade that would be your shadows, but we haven't really gone over shadows yet, so I just thought I'd do it this way. The other thing is we're just going to use the 3 colors that we used last time. I want to make sure you can see this. Kind of set up the camera different this time to try to get kind of an overhead version. Now you're going to see the top of these objects more than I am because the camera is up high over my shoulder, and I'm lower, I'm sitting lower and a little over this way where the camera is coming in this way and from above like that. So what you see on my paper may not reflect exactly the angle that you see through the camera. But I will be discussing the colors that I'm mixing, and you'll see the shadowing and, you know, the values. So I'm going to start with the apple, and it's pretty easy. There it is. It is yellow. Now, it's not a real red apple, is it? But it does have a little bit of yellow-orange, and it has a little bit of green in areas. Now with acrylics, you always want to start with your darks first, which is very different from watercolor. Watercolor, you want to start with your lights and go into your darks very gradually. And we could mix all of our colors ahead of time if we wanted. And I think I am going to mix a few colors for this onion. So I'm going to get a little red, and I'm going to make a little bit of a red violet. This is actually violet. So when we mix red and blue, it's violet. And now we're doing a red violet. And I like those two colors. Now we talked about last time a little bit on complementary colors. And those are colors that are on the opposite end of the color wheel. So, I don't know if you can, the light in here isn't too great. Basically, with the color wheel, the opposite color of violet is yellow. Okay? The opposite color of green is red. Orange is blue. Now, if you mix the opposite, or the complementary, I should say, you will get gray. It neutralizes the color. So, if I want, let's say I think that red violet's a little too saturated, too bright, I can add a little yellow to it, and it's going to tone it down a bit. And that's how you can mute your colors a bit. So it actually cancels out the color. See how I'm getting more of a rusty color? Maybe that isn't quite what I wanted. I'm going to add a little more red to it. But it gives you the idea of how you can start to mute colors. I'll show you with a different one as well when we get into the yellows and the greens as well. So there I have a few different colors for my onion. Okay, remember I have two different things of water I like to use. And you can't really see them right now. They're kind of off camera, so you could see my setup. Okay, so I'm going to take my dark color, and I'm going to start going in. And I kind of like to rough it. I don't use a lot of water at first. But you're welcome to, okay? So I kind of see the form, and what I want you to kind of get start to see is the form. And kind of see how that form comes together and how the light hits it. Okay, when I first do this, it's pretty sloppy. It's not going to be real precise, okay? I'm just kind of laying down this sketch. And I kind of see, just going to kind of put in my shadow of what I see too. I'm almost using quite a bit of water. I'm on watercolor paper, so it will soak into the paper just like watercolor. Okay, now I'm mixing my green, blue, and yellow. And if I do 50-50, pretty much, I'm going to get that rock solid green. Now, green usually isn't that bright in nature, so the opposite color or complementary color of green is red. So I like to put a little bit of red just to tone that green down, because it can look really bright and then it doesn't look natural. It looks funny, and it's so hard for us because we grow up always thinking everything in nature is green, but it's really not. When you look in nature, there are so many trees that have reds and yellows and even some blues and purples. So be kind of aware of that. Now I'm going to add a little bit of black to this because I want to get the darkest color on this zucchini. Okay, and I kind of see it coming like this. I want you to start to see the shading and the form where the light hits the object will really tell you how that form is created and what it looks like. And then over here, okay. And I'm going to add a little bit of black to my purple too, because I just don't think I really have it dark enough down there in the shadow part. So right in here. Okay. Now I'm going to get a little bit of water here and just kind of get my shadow going for right now. This is just kind of to tell me where the shadow is. And I'll kind of dig more into that later. Okay. Actually, let's just kind of run around here. Got my shadow here. Okay, now I've got just a little bit of yellow orange in here, but it's kind of coming here. I see a little on the top here. And I didn't mute this color at all, which I probably should have. And actually down in here, this area gets probably the darkest. Excuse me, I have a frog in my throat. So I kind of want to get, again, all my darkest colors down first. Now this is all kind of shadow in here. And I know it's probably more yellow, but for right now, I'm going to put the shadow color in. Because with acrylics, you can go over them, paint over them with lighter colors. So don't be shy with your darks, okay? Okay. Now, I'm going to put a little blue for my shadows right now. But that may change. This kind of has a double shadow. Because I have lights on up in the ceiling as well. So that's also playing a part in our shadows. Okay, and I'm going to start using some of my red violet. put a little more color in there. I'm going to do that with my zucchini too. My highlight on the zucchini is actually at the very top. Get a little more yellow green in here. Let me make sure my brush is dried off enough, or clean enough. I don't have red in there. Okay. Okay. Sometimes I can even somewhat mix my colors right there on the spot. Actually, on the page here. Now I'm going to put a little blue in some of this green. We get a blue green, so you know that green and blue, or blue and yellow, make green, and now I'm going to add a little more blue, so I have a little bit more of a blue-green, because I see a little bit of that in here. Now when you paint on your canvas, you're not going to have as much soak in as you are on this paper, okay? Because this is watercolor paper. I'm just going to add a little bit of black, but I'm going to kind of mix it in. And I like to sometimes put a little color in, like the blue in here, because I actually see some blue. Okay, now we're going to come over here and I'm going to get my yellow. And you know that yellow has just a tint of green in it, just a tint. And I'm going to add some white to this. I'm kind of working fast, so I probably normally would work a little slower, but for you guys to kind of, I don't want to take up, you know, hours and hours of your time. So I just want you to get the idea. See how you can start blending your colors there and it starts to come around? The only thing I think is that I need it to be a little darker in here, the bottom, where it's hitting. And maybe a little more in here. Maybe actually this is a little lighter. Right here's lighter. See. A little more of that orange, yellow orange. This has a little bit of reflective light coming in. Okay. Get this green. Blend that in a little more. And it's got a little bit of reflective light coming up from that piece of paper. When you have, when it's on a light background, it's going to have a little bit of reflection coming up underneath, right in here. Actually, It gets pretty dark on the other side, on the top on the other side here. Let's see. Put a little bit of a highlight in there. Okay. Let's see, I might put a little red down here. Looks like it's reflecting a little bit. Actually, okay. Now I'm going to work a little on this. I'm going to take I'm just putting a little bit of the highlights in. Actually see this. I see this. It's funny when you're painting in person, so to speak, you move your head just a little bit and you can see a completely different angle. So you have to be kind of careful of that. Which I think I'm doing a little bit, but okay. I think I'm going to add a little blue. Sometimes it's, you know, since purple is made with red and blue, or violet rather, is made with blue and red, it's okay to add some of that color in. And so this is a pretty good start. Okay, so we're working with the shadows. And the closer they get to the object, the darker they're going to be. So, like I said, I like to use some blue color, which blues are cool colors. And greens are cool. But I'm kind of mixing a little warm and a little cool in my shadows here. Okay, and then over here, this shadow is pretty dark. I'm not quite getting the shape that I want to this one. Okay, and gonna get some purple in here. Add just a tad of black. Okay, and there's actually just a tad that I can see from my vantage point of a shadow over here. Just want to lighten this up on the edges here a bit. And I'm going to change Now what I can do, it's pretty much done. I mean, you're getting the idea of your shadows and your darks. Make this a little darker right in here. And what I see when I do that is this little edge of the zucchini just gets a little lighter. Just a little bit of reflective light coming in on this side of the zucchini. Oh, and we haven't done shadow there. And then if we want and put a little bit of color around it, we can, even though we don't have any color. Just maybe a light little wash. Kind of a neutral color. It's a little bit of yellow, but just kind of cleaning up the edges. But this is really, you know, it's just so you can get the idea of how to start using your colors and applying them with values on an object for dark and light. And using your light source and always kind of knowing where that is. Kind of an odd little thing right there. Oh, yeesh. I think what I'm gonna do just gonna instead of that just kind of going off in space, I want to define that so it doesn't cause your eye to just kind of get stuck there. And we can go over composition and what's the best way to do that at some point too. There, I like that better. And I could just spend all day going over this and making it better and better, but at least you get the idea. I have this little thing there. And then these. Okay, so I hope this helped. Now I will change the camera back and I'll take some of your questions. Okay, so this is the final quick sketch painting. It shows you the colors that we mixed, the values, and the lighting. Now I'm going to take some questions, so please put them in the chat box. That would be great. Let's discuss. Hi everybody. Any questions? I hope you enjoyed today's program, and I hope you join me next week. So have a great day, and you can always put some information at the chat box later, and I can answer questions throughout the day. Any questions? Thank you. Thank you for participating in the Council on Aging Southern California art class. Also, a few questions to ask yourself as you're doing art projects. What were you feeling as you were creating this art piece? What does the color, shape, picture mean to you? What thoughts come to mind as you were creating art? We have supportive resources in the links below and encourage you to explore them. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask by sending us a message or leaving a comment in the chat.